कश्मीर का।
Assalamu alaikum dear students, how are you? Fine? Nice. I hope you are enjoying. Go to page 64 of your book. I'm in class 9th, subject English, and topic is a poem. We are going to read a poem today. The name of the poem is The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. It's at page number 64 and 65 of your book. Keep the book ready in front of you, and also keep your rough notebook with you, and keep a pen ready for maybe you have to write here and there something. Now before we go to the actual text of the poem, which I will read for you, because poetry is basically meant to be heard. You have to listen to the poem. I'll recite it, and then we'll try to find out certain poetic devices, certain poetic techniques in this poem, and we will also have a look at the theme of the poem. We will have a discussion together. Now before I go to the text, let's know something about Robert Frost first. It's from your book. You can read it. You can see it here, page 64. Robert Lee Frost was born in 1874. So 1874, and he died in 1963. So he was a 20th century poet, American poet. Was born in San Francisco, California. Frost attended high school in Lawrence, Massachusetts. This is its pronunciation is Massachusetts, and began writing poetry. Frost continued to write poetry, but was unsuccessful at publishing his work. So in literature, when you come across this literary work, you come across this word work, it means poem, it means novel, it means drama, it means essay. So he could not publish his whatever he wrote. Seeking better literary opportunities, the Frosts, means the Frost family, sold their farm and moved to England in 1912. In England, Frost achieved his first literary success. His book of poems, A Boy's Will, 1913, was printed by the first English publisher that Frost approached. This he reached there. The work established Frost as an eminent poet. That means he became famous. His second collection, North of Boston, was published in 1914 and also won praise. That means acclaim. He won the Pulitzer Prize in poetry for 4 times. That is 1924, 1931, 1937 and 1943. That is, he was awarded this award. He wrote simply. That means his poems are simple. I am reminded of one of his poems here, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, when he says, I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep and miles to go before I sleep, but insightfully. That means some of you will go over. Later on, you cannot change that decision, whatever you will have in your life. So that will shape your life. Now let me first read the text for you. You can keep the books closed. It's not necessary that here you will keep the books open, and later when we will have discussion on the point, then you can keep the books open also. If you want to keep the books open, no problem, but you concentrate more on listening rather than on looking at your book. Okay. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And the one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth, then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was glossy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay in leaves, no step had trod in black. Oh, I kept the first for the another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubt it if I should ever come back. I should be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. You see, in what is the main difference between poetry and prose is this, that in poetry you have, it is in rhythm. That is, you will not read poetry just like you read, for example, prose. Just now I read Robert Frost's biographical sketch to you. For example, Robert Frost was born in San Francisco, California. Frost attended high school. This is prose. But you see here, two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. So this is no poem. It has to be recited. You have to say the structural words quickly, grammatical words, but you have to say the main words, content words with stress, with proper stress. Now, if we look at this poem, The Road Not Taken, we have different poems of different category. For example, we have sonnets, we have odes, we have epic, we have narrative poem. So this poem, it comes under the category of lyric. Now, what is actually a lyric? Lyric is a Greek word. It has come from the Greek word lyre, L-Y-R-E, which means a musical instrument. So when you can yourself imagine that when it has come from the Greek word lyre, which means a musical instrument, it has something to do with music. So that's why we say that a lyric poem is, musical. So first of all, we can call a lyric a musical poem. Okay? Then this lyric is usually short. So see, look at this poem. It's not a long poem. So 1, 2, 3, 4 stanzas, 5 lines each. So 20 lines poem. So it's a short poem. It's not a long poem. And then you have also what's called as this poem. This lyric is it's a personal poem. So what makes it personal? The use of pronoun I, or for example me, my, that makes it personal. Here he says, and sorry I could not travel both. Here he says, I shall be telling this with a sigh. Here he says, I doubted if I. Here he says, I kept the first. So this, and I. This is, and I. So it's repeating, this is stressing the point, emphasizing. So this makes it personal. In other words, we can also call it a subjective poem. In other words, there is what's called as a romantic element in this poem. This Robert Frost is a romantic poet with a difference. That means he, just now you read, he writes simply but insightfully about common and ordinary experiences of life. And it's a poem in which, there the poet expresses his emotions and feelings. Feelings and emotions and feelings. That's the essence of poetry. Poetry is shairi. It touches your heart. It touches your, feelings. It touches your emotions. It appeals to your senses. That's why imagery comes into force in poetry. So we have emotions and feelings here in lyric. the poet is in this poem also expressing his inner feelings and emotions. And then there is, lot of imagination is at work. So this poem will take you into imagination. If you read the first line, two roads diverged in a yellow wood. Yellow wood, it refers to something in the autumn, or maybe the leaves of the trees had turned yellow. And it's a forest where the poet is in a dilemma, is in a fix. So there are two roads. One is going this way and is going this way. He is not in a position to decide which way to take. There is nobody to tell him. So you also go there in your heart of hearts. You feel yourself through imagery. Inside you go into imagination. And then there is also what is called as description of nature is there. For example, you find here wood, you find here leaves, you see here again wood. So this you see here different words are there which undergrowth, grassy. So this has something to do with nature, not man-made things, God-made things, natural things. So this under the category of the poems, it comes under a lyric. It's a lyric. Now, what are the other devices which we find in this poem apart from this rhythm? Rhythm is there. You'll see every stanza almost the same, they have the same structure. And then if you see the lines, they are same. That is same means वो बोलते हैं ना उर्दू में बहर, यानी अगर इनको दो तराजू में दो इनमें डालेंगे दो पलड़ों में तो ये बराबर रहेंगे उस हिसाब से वजन के हिसाब से. So that is actually it's a internal, rhythm refers to the internal music which is present in the words of a poem. So next there we find in this poem we find there rhyme. Now what is rhyme? See, the end words have the same sound. For example, if you look at the first stanza, first line, the last word is wood. So you have line number 1. Okay, I'll keep it name as we'll keep it name A. This is fictitious. You can add X also. And then next line number 2 is both. So line number 2 end. So I'll call it B. And then there is stood. So stood is line number 3 and it goes with this. So I'll again call it A. And then there is could. So it again goes with stood or would. So it's line number 4. We can call it again A. And then there is undergrowth. So last word is growth, last sound rather. So we have here 5 and we'll call it again B. So we can say that stanza 1 has a rhyme scheme of A, B, A, B. In fact, every stanza of this poem has a rhyme scheme of A, B, A, B. Look at second stanza. Fair, where, claim, same, dare, where. Say, lay, day, black, back. You say lay, then black, then day, then way, then back. You say there's sigh, then we have hence, then we have I, then we have by, and then we have difference. So that means you have the same rhyme scheme throughout the poem. And then another device we have, we call it alliteration. These are the things actually, in poetry what you have to do, don't look for a story in the poem. There may be, but actually you have to look at the language. You have to see how the poem has been written. You have to see how it has been structured, which words have been used. Why have these been words used? Because the poet uses, selected words and he has to say a lot in some words. Alliteration is, initial consonant sounds are repeated more than once. It can be within a line or it can be within a stanza. Suppose if you go to stanza number 1, 2, 3, you find here lay and then you see here leaves. You see here black, you see here back. You see again leaves here, that's lay, leaves. You see here way, again you have way. You see here doubted, you see here day. So when the poet is repeating, initial consonant sounds, what do you find? Alliteration. And this rhythm, rhyme, alliteration, assonance, consonance, these are for, creating music in a poem. Assonance means repetition of vowel sounds. Now it's not necessary that whether the poet is repeating at the initial level, or he is repeating at the middle, or he is repeating at the end. If we see at stanza 1, you see and, again you have and, again you have and, you have stood, you have could, you have would, you have growth, you have both, you have fair, you have where, you have claim, you have same. So you have same vowel sound is there. Okay. Suppose you have in claim you have a vowel sound, and in same also you have again a vowel sound there. Stood you have u, and could also you have u. So that means there is assonance. So we find assonance also here in this point. For example, you say could, if you say would, if you say stood. So in all these words the vowel sound is the same. If you write and, then you say again and, then you say again and, vowel sound is the same. Then there is consonants. Now consonants refers to the repetition of consonants generally at the end. At the end. For example, if you say back, you have black. So you have cur here, you have cur here. So you have wood, you have travelled, you have diverged, you have this travelled, you have wood, you have diverged. So you have and. So in the last stanza, if you see say and again, here again road is and, then you have travelled, then you have diverged, you have again and, you have again and. So that means you have made. So that means the poet is repeating the last consonant sounds. Suppose here in case of this we find the sound being repeated again and again in the word and, in the word would, in the word and, in the word diverged, in the word travelled, in the word made. So you have the same vowels, this consonant sound. That will be consonants. Then one of the most important things in poetry which we find is that's called imagery. That's there in this poem. Mostly we find visual images here. First of all, I will make you write, please write down what imagery means. Please write. Imagery refers to the use of words. It refers to the use of words, especially in poetry, to describe ideas or situations. The poet has to describe experiences, and he describes these experiences through images. They can be of different kinds. For example, visual. So you can have visual imagery. That is when you see something in your mind. You can have auditory, when you hear. You can have olfactory, that means smell. You can have gustatory, that is taste, sweet, sour, bitter. Then you have tactile, touch. You touch and you say it is hot, it is warm. And then you have kinesthetic, that is got sensation of movement. And you have also what is called as organic. So organic has something to do with your heart, feeling. For example, if the poet says like he makes you fearful, he makes you nostalgic, this poem is also nostalgic in tone, because the poet is thinking about his past. I will be telling with this with a sigh. That has made all the difference. So that is nostalgic. Two roads diverge in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. So he is actually feeling. And then elated, happy, sad. So that means that kind of this we have in this poem we have mostly organic imagery here, and we have also what is called as visual imagery. For example, I can give you examples of visual imagery from this poem. You can write the words. Road is there. The word road is yellow wood. Okay, traveler. You have undergrowth. You have grassy. You have leaves. You have black, which is color. You can see black color. You have way. And organic you have. See here. I shall be telling this with a sigh. So when it says I shall be telling this with a sigh, so it is something, some feeling is coming there. And then it says, and sorry, I could not travel both. So some sort of, regret is coming in our hearts. We feel like we identify ourselves with the poet, and we also feel the same. So imagery is there, especially we have, we find visual imagery here and also organic imagery here. And then there's another kind of, poetic device here in this poem, which I call as, which is, anaphora. 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 This is a poetic device actually. So you can write anaphora, the repetition of an identical word. It can be a word or group of words, more than one word, in successive verses. जो लाइन्स होते हैं ना पोइट्री में, वो वर्सेस होते हैं, शेयर और क्लॉजेस. For example, I can give you example from this poem. Look at stanza number 1, line number 2 starts with and. Look at line number 3 starts with and. Look at number 4 starts with and. So you can call it anaphora. Example of anaphora here, because line number 2, line number 3, line number 4 start with the same word and. Okay. Then you have metaphors also there, or metaphor. Actually पोइट्री में अक्सर पोइट जो है, he makes use of metaphors. जैसे अगर पोइट को बोलना होगा लाइफ जो है ये स्ट्रगल है, ये डिफिकल्ट है, वो बोलेगा लाइफ इज गोइंग अपहिल. So that in that sense the poet is actually making us understand that life is very difficult. It's a struggle. So यहाँ पर poet जो है, जैसे if you look at the word roads, if we look at the word yellow wood, these are actually metaphoric words. For example, yellow wood here refers to making decisions of during hard times of a person's life. Yellow wood. Why? Because it was autumn, winter was about to set in, and here you have roads, here it refers to life. And then there is symbol. So in symbol you have, that means for example, if we say road, for me when I became a teacher, it was a road for me. When somebody became a doctor, it was for him a road. Somebody became an engineer, it was. Somebody became a businessman, it was. Somebody is interested in some other is in some art. So that means whenever we take a decision in our life, we are actually symbol or metaphor में ये फर्क है, otherwise दोनों same है. Symbol can have different meanings. Metaphor can have a particular kind of meaning. For example, if I say he was a lion, I mean he was brave. But if I say white, so white can mean color, white can mean purity, white can mean peace, white can mean happiness, it can mean sadness. So that is called a symbol. So we have also symbol here. Now I will just I think I hope you have got these things in this poem. Now you can read it silently, read the poem silently, and then you can do these questions very easily which are asked in the end. And I hope you will have enjoyed this poem in a nice way. Thank you very much. I hope you stay at home and stay safe. Thank you. See you. Goodbye.